Now, let's take a moment to thank this episode's sponsor, findthebestcarprice.com. Now, they have done a lot of the hard work that you need to do when you're going out and you're making such a huge purchase like buying a car. They advertise incentives right from the starting point to make sure that you really understand the lowest possible price on the car that you're looking at buying. They've even created free guides to help explain the step-by-step process to get the best deal possible when you're dealing directly with the dealers. They even provide free services that connects you with local dealers in your area and free email templates so you can copy and paste them and know exactly what to say when you're dealing directly with the car dealerships. Now, make sure that you've done your research and visit findthebestcarprice.com prior to making your next big purchase like a car. Today's episode is brought to you by Fulton, a modern brand of arch support. Now, Fulton launched the most comfortable, supportive, and sustainable insole on the planet, guys. Fulton Insoles have a deep heel cup and comfortable arch support that aligns your body from head to toe. They are made using sustainable materials like vegan cactus leather and cork, allowing them to mold to the shape of your arch and provide customized support. They're also shock absorbing, reducing impact on the body, and are lined with natural foam to make them extra comfortable. Now, Fulton is offering our listeners $10 off your next purchase at walkfulton.com by using the code POD10, that's POD 10, and that's for $10 off at walkfulton.com. Make sure that you check out the episode show description and the show notes on our website, and I will have everything linked for Fulton there. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Financially Free Journey podcast, and I am your host, Courtney Dyer. Today, guys, I am bringing on a very special guest. Now, if you have ever started a business, wanted to start a business, or had an amazing idea but didn't know where to start, Stephen Hoffman is going to be my guest today. And a lot of people know him as Captain Hoff of Silicon Slopes. Now, Stephen is a serial entrepreneur. He's an angel investor, and he is currently the CEO of Founderspace, which is one of the world's leading startup accelerators. Not only that, but Stephen is a renowned author, and he's wrote several books. Two of them is Make Elephants Fly, and also most recently, Surviving a Startup. So I would love for you to be able to take away actionable steps from Stephen Hoffman and what he did to be able to gain the momentum and success that he's had in his career. Well, welcome to the show, Stephen. How are you today?
It's great to be here. I'm doing fantastic out here in California.
Beautiful weather. I am jealous. We are just starting to have just a little bit of sunshine here in Utah. So I'm sure you've been enjoying that for a while, haven't you?
It's 85 degrees.
Oh,
gorgeous outside.
Gosh, I just wonder why I ever moved away when I hear that. So, well, thanks for coming on today. I am so excited. I went through and guys, I read Stephen's last book, Surviving a Startup, and it was so inspiring and so much information that I thought would be extremely beneficial for you all to hear. And really from Stephen's own past experiences, the triumphs that he has had, as well as the setbacks, because we really do learn when we're growing and when we've made mistakes and had failures. And so there is so much that I want to unpack here with you, Stephen. And so my first question for you is really, you talk about how 90% of startups fail, and really the path to success has a lot of failures and pitfalls and wrong turns and obstacles. What do you think, from the hundreds of companies that you have helped, what is that number one pitfall that people fall into when they're starting up a business? And what advice do you have for them to try and avoid those pitfalls?
There are so many pitfalls, and I have fallen in a lot of them myself. I did 3 venture-funded startups, 2 bootstrap startups, so I know how easy it can be to fail and to hit roadblocks. Even if your company doesn't fail, you will continually make mistakes. That is just a fact of doing a startup. And I would say the number one mistake early startups make is that they focus on the wrong things. So instead of, when you do a startup, most people think, I have to have the brilliant idea. I have to think of something nobody else has thought of, or I can't start my company. But honestly, when you think of that, a brilliant idea, it probably isn't as brilliant as you imagine. It probably isn't even original. There's somebody else out there doing that same idea, off in Sweden or South Africa or China, and they may be way ahead of you. So the biggest mistake is simply not spending enough time figuring out what's out there. So as soon as you think of an idea, the first thing you should do is get on Google, and don't just type in a few words and one page comes up and you're like, nobody's doing it. Nobody has the domain name.
I'm good.
I'm good to go. Because honestly, you haven't done your homework. You need to spend several weeks researching this and looking into, honestly, every idea you come up with, probably somebody is doing it. Maybe not the way you imagine, but they're using other ways to do it. And
some form of it.
Right. They may be using pen and paper, or, you never know, or some old system, but you need to understand exactly what they're doing and what you're going to do different and so much better.
Well, and I think that's something that does hold a lot of people that I've personally spoken to, or even ideas I've had myself, where it's like, okay, but is it an oversaturated market, right? So let's say I come up with an idea. I think I'm original. I do a quick Google search and I see there's people already doing this. Is there still room for people to be able to enter into a market where there's others already flourishing?
I will tell you, there is always room, always. But there's a caveat. There is room because things are always changing. Markets are changing. People's taste is changing. Business environments are changing. Also, technology is always advancing. So every time technology moves forward, it opens up the possibilities that you could do it better. So I tell entrepreneurs there are only two ways to succeed. So somebody's going to always be doing what you're thinking of, but in a different way. And if it's entertainment, they'll be using some other form of entertainment. You may have an original idea, but they're hooked on something. Either they're spending their time on Facebook or Netflix or something else. You're going to have to pull them away. So the two ways to succeed, and you have to have one of these or don't even start. Number one, you have to do something exponentially better. If you're going to do exactly the same thing as somebody else, you can't be incrementally better. Nobody switches from something a little better. We're using Zoom right now to have this discussion. If a little better group meeting comes up similar to Zoom, we're not going to switch because we've already figured this out. It's so easy.
Well, the behavior and the pattern is already there, right? It's like we already know how, for example, know how to use Zoom. So if it's not this huge, way better idea or platform, the inconvenience itself could hold people back from switching. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
The inconvenience and just inertia. Like, our lives are complicated enough. We just don't want to do anything we don't.
I just want simple. Want simple. Yep.
Plus, all our friends are on Zoom. So it's easy. So that's true of everything. So you have to do it way better to get them to switch. And if you can't do it exponentially better than a current product on the market, then you have to do something different. Something that it doesn't have to be totally different. It can be a similar type of application or service, but it has to offer your customer a value they are not getting from their current set of whatever they're using, services that they're using or applications. And I call this creating a customer value, and that customer value has to be significant. It has to be enough that they say, wow, I would use this in addition to what all the other things I'm using, because I really need to get this done. And they don't do it that well, or they don't
because
do it
there's
at
a
all.
need. You've really identified a need, and it may not be a brand new idea, which I think is something that a lot of people get hung up on, right? Like, I have to come up with something that's never been done. But what I'm hearing from you is it could have been done, but what's the value proposition that you're bringing that hasn't been done? A spin, a take that makes it exponentially better, to where you put yourself in the customer's shoes and you say, yeah, I would switch, right? So would you switch as a customer, or are you just in love with your idea because it's your idea?
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So the two rules are exponentially better or different, like in providing a unique, different value. Those two. If you don't have if you can't honestly say, and I have a lot of entrepreneurs say, oh, it's like these other products, but it has this feature. or these features. Well, features make a product a little better. Forget it. Like, you need to go back to the drawing board.
Well, and as technology changes, features can become obsolete. So if you're building your value proposition off of a feature, you are building a dying model. So really, it's got to be something that's evergreen outside of a feature, because otherwise you're making yourself, the time's ticking on your product, essentially.
My first book before surviving a startup was called Make Elephants Fly. And it's all about this. It's about the process of radical innovation. You can't sit still. Like, even if you come up with the best idea in the world, there are going to be, if it's the best idea in the world, everybody's going to be coming after you, right? To take it away from you.
Right.
And they're going to be trying to figure out a way to do it exponentially better than you are. So you're going to always have to have your eye on technology, always adopting, always rethinking what you're doing. There is no company ever in existence that won't at some point be obsolete and go out of business. Like, that will.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at people like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, if they feel like they need to continuously grow and innovate and change, that shows you how powerful of a business principle this is that you're talking about. Because we're talking about multi-billionaires, and even platforms like Facebook, for example, they're not the same as they were even a year ago, let alone 5 years ago, or when they launched. They are continuously evolving and changing to keep up with the need and the hole in the market that they identify as they go. So I love that, because you think about the most highly successful people you can think of, and they're following this principle that you're talking about.
Right. And look at Facebook. If they honestly had not acquired Instagram and WhatsApp, they might have been left in the dust.
Oh, yeah.
Good chance they wouldn't be the big social network that everybody uses, because those new innovations were so powerful.
Absolutely.
If you can imagine Amazon, if Amazon just sold books, would we care? We wouldn't care. Like, look at them now. They host all the websites, AWS, they offer movies, they offer games, they offer everything, every product in the world. But if they had just continued selling books, that's a great innovation. But that isn't why Amazon's so valuable today.
It's a small, and it is still a very profitable part of their business model, but it's a small slice of what when you think of Amazon. And so another great example of showing how continuously evolving and changing your business, and not falling so in love with your original idea that you are closed off to feedback and change, because you are more in love with your product than everyone else.
This is a big point that I make. So a lot of entrepreneurs fall in love with their product. It's their baby.
Absolutely.
You can't help but love it. You made it, right? So, when you show your baby to somebody and they say, "Oh, that baby," they're not that excited. They don't tell you that the baby is. Most people won't say your baby's ugly. They'll say, "Oh," they'll say that's a nice.
It's my mini me. They're like, oh, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, they'll say that's a nice baby, or that's a cute baby, but without a lot of enthusiasm. If you get that response on your product, you can be sure your product's darn ugly. It means like anybody who says your product is nice is actually saying go away.
Right.
The only people, but you don't hear this, because we filter it out. If they say our product is nice, we think they love it as much as we do.
Yeah, because we interpret it the way that we want to hear it, right?
Yes. And this is a real problem for entrepreneurs. This is another reason startups don't survive, is because they put on the rose-colored glasses. Everybody loves their baby as much as they do. And then they stop listening to feedback. They stop asking hard questions. They just want to hear that people like it. But people liking your product isn't good enough. I mean, look at your phone. You download an app on your phone, you look at it, you go, oh, that's nice. A week later, delete, it's gone. We don't get anything that's nice is gone. It has to be something that we really need or love, or we just forget about it. The world is
absolutely
too crowded.
Absolutely. No. And, you bring up another really good point too, is we keep wanting to just hear people that agree with our idea or our product and supporting it, right? So we want that positive narrative when we're coming up with an idea. And so a lot of us will ask advice from people that we kind of know will be our cheerleaders, like your parents, your siblings, your spouse. So how can an entrepreneur not fall into that pitfall? Because of course, your most trusted confidants usually are your evergreen cheerleaders. So how do you not fall into that pitfall and make sure that you really are getting honest and open feedback?
So you have to go out to real customers. Now, if you're, let's say, selling to another business, you can go meet those people. Like they're out there. And if and when you show them your product, if they're like, oh, that's nice, come back later. Well, they've just told you your baby's ugly.
Right.
So
your baby looks like Benjamin Button, guys. Just walk away. Okay.
Shriveled up, a prune. Yeah. But if they say, oh my God, I need that product today. Can you get it to me? And you're like, well, can you pay us? Right? Can you write us a check in advance? Can you sign up at least, or give us a letter of intent, some sort of proof that they have to go through to actually commit to it. If it's a consumer product, you can put a video online. You can drive targeted traffic to your page and you can have a video there, not the full product, just a video. And you have a buy button. See if they actually click on the buy button. Like they don't have to buy it. Like when they buy it, you can just say sign up coming soon and take their email address, but you want to know if they're going to buy it. You need hard proof. And as a venture capitalist myself, when entrepreneurs come to me, I say, show me that proof. I don't expect you to have made your product if you're a very early young company, but I want you to have gone to your customers and gotten some form of validation, some form of commitment. Because if they're not willing to give you any commitment, then why should I give you a commitment of my money? Because the customer has to, I don't care if you love your product. I want to see they love it.
As you all know by now, I am super passionate about education in our country, as well as your ability to increase your earning potential, which is why I'm so excited to tell you about this episode's sponsor. It's called Teachers of Tomorrow. So listen to this. The nation's leading alternative teacher certification provider, the most comprehensive provider of teacher services in the United States. Their mission is simple. It's to develop confident educators who believe in the potential of every student and has helped more than 70,000 teachers reach the classroom. They have created a new way to become a teacher. And for the first time ever, you can become a certified teacher 100% online. So this means, number one, you don't have to go back to college, no student loans. You're not putting your life on hold because you have to work full time while you're trying to study. I mean, that's really hard to balance. The best part is this, guys. You can start teaching and earning a full-time salary in months, not years. Their state-approved program is designed with one goal in mind, which is to help you achieve your dream of teaching quickly, affordably, and simply. Teachers of Tomorrow has partnered with the podcast and is offering you a free application and a discounted enrollment fee of $295, which is $100 instant savings. This is the only fee that you pay, by the way, until you're hired full-time, earning full pay and benefits. So to claim this offer, just simply click the link in the show notes and episode description. Absolutely. I love that. And I think most of the people listening will have probably watched or at least are familiar with the show Shark Tank, right? And when someone comes in with their idea and their product, and then they also have proof of concept, they've got orders ready to go, but they need money to be able to really just produce the product. Those are the deals that always go through, right? Where they're like, so and you see all them fighting about the product and being able to get the deal. That's because, like you said, you're showing proof of concept that there are people out there that want this product, but you haven't really gone out and mass produced it or launched the website. So it's a great way to be able to just dip your toe in and see how excited is the market about this. Another question that I have for you too, because this is something that I think a lot of people have a hard time pinpointing, is their avatar customer, right? And how important is that to really understand who your potential customer is within that development process, because sometimes we just want everyone to be our customer because we think it's awesome. So we think everyone's going to think it's awesome. So can you talk to us a little bit about that process, how important it is, and maybe how you go about doing it?
This is really important. One of the first questions I ask entrepreneurs is, who's your customer? And if an entrepreneur comes up to me and says, my customer is women, I'm like, really? And then I'm not interested. Like, I walk away. Why do I walk away? Because I don't like women customers? Absolutely not. I walk away because that entrepreneur doesn't know their customer. It's never just women. Is it teenage girls? Is it professional women? Is it, married women? Is it women who are raising children? Is it women who are, middle-aged? What type of car do they drive? Where do they shop? What movies do they watch? I want you to tell me these details, because if you know your customer, and that means you know exactly why they need your product. Like, them. This is why a lot of successful entrepreneurs start by making a product they need, because they know themselves. And if there's a lot of other people like them, they're not that unique in their needs, then there's a big market. So we just want to see, we don't never tell an investor like me that everyone is my customer, because, someday you may become an Amazon and everybody may be your customer, but at the beginning, you need to start with a much more narrowly. You need to start with specific people and know them in depth. That's how you get traction. That's how you get sales.
Absolutely. I love that, because that's something that I have struggled with in the past with a past venture. Someone asked me, well, who's your customer? And I'm like, well, myself. Like, I'm my customer. Like you said, I created this because I know it's something that I would use. And they said, okay, but you have to be able to verbalize it. You have to articulate the details down to, what they look like. Like, you need to know your potential customer. And that was such an aha moment for me, because I thought, well, you know what? I haven't done the work like I thought I did. And so I had to go back to the drawing board, and I actually ended up making a lot of changes to the mechanics of the product that I was creating, because I had to dig deeper. And so, but it also made me realize there's some people that aren't going to like it. And that was hard to face. So, so another question I have for you is, right now, in this weird time that we're in, we've got people who have successful businesses, they're struggling, but we also have these people who they're on the brink of wanting to launch and become a startup. But now we've got this additional hurdle of our economy and just having the pandemic. What advice do you have for these people to be able to still move forward in their entrepreneurial career?
Well, first of all, the pandemic is winding down. The vaccines are out. If everybody gets vaccinated, we should hit herd immunity pretty soon, really soon. So I'm very optimistic about that. Secondly, during the pandemic, a lot of companies did quite well. The ones who allowed people to do stuff from home, do stuff remotely, online. These type of companies really benefited. At the same time, a huge number of other businesses suffered, like in restaurants, hotels, the whole travel industry, you name it. They were feeling a world of pain. So at this point, whether you've suffered or not, it's going to be good. Like, the second half of 2021 going into 2022 is going to be amazing for you. So I think what you need to be doing is gearing up. For really, the rules never change. Even during the pandemic, the rules remained the same. It just so happened that our lives changed, right? So our needs changed, but our needs are always changing. And really good companies always have to adapt. One thing I tell entrepreneurs, and it's probably the most important thing, don't stick with one thing too long if it's not taking off. If you feel like Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a hill, and every time you get to the top, it rolls back down and you have to start again, if you keep doing this month in and month out, your business, just give it up. People ask me, when should I quit? That's the question,
Yes, that is the question.
Most entrepreneurs fail, honestly, because they stick with an idea too long, not because they stick with it too briefly.
Interesting. Yeah.
I've seen the successful entrepreneurs, the ones who are super amazing, they churn through ideas at an incredible speed, right? They try one thing out, doesn't work. Try another thing out, doesn't work. Try another thing. Oh, it's working. We're up, stop. This doesn't work. Switch. So they don't get too attached. And this is really important for you to understand, even if you have a company that kind of did well before the pandemic and then it kind of leveled off. Is it leveling off because of the pandemic, or is it leveling off simply because that's the nature of that business? You don't have a winner. So you need to, a lot of times it's hard to see the truth. You need, as an entrepreneur, to go out and ask advisors, get people around you who will be honest with you. You are asking, like, what do I do when my friends and family won't give me the truth? You need to find people who will shoot straight with you, and you need to give them permission to tell you exactly what they think. People will tell you what they think you want to hear. They will only tell you the truth if you make it absolutely clear you want the truth. Like, you do not want any sugarcoating on this. That's how you get the truth.
I love that point, because that was really led in so nicely to what my next question was going to be. Is there's this gray area of, I'm in that starter phase. I don't want to give up too soon just because it's hard. But then also, like, when do you know to cut ties? It's like breaking up with a toxic boyfriend. Like, how do you know too much it's been too much now? And so, like you said, it's really, how are you continuously pushing a boulder and it falls back on you? So, there are some indicators, it sounds like, to know when it's time to cut ties. And so do you have any more specifics as far as, if these red flags in the relationship with your idea has happened, it's time to break up?
Okay. If you're breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend whoever you have, seldom say after you broke up, I broke up too soon. Usually it's like, I stuck with that person that long.
What was wrong with me? I was blind.
Yeah, I was blind to all their faults. The writing was on the wall 6 months ago. Even
exactly.
So the writing is on the wall. You're just not reading it. So my advice, that's why you have to get, all of us are blind. Like, we are all blind to what we do. We all have what's called bias, built-in bias, cognitive bias. We see what we want to see. So you need to see your business through other people's eyes. And that's really, really important. You need to see your boyfriend or your girlfriend through somebody else's eyes.
Absolutely.
And honestly, if your parents are saying, they're not that good a fit, if all your friends are saying, why are you with that person? They're seeing something that you're not seeing. And,
right.
And you can be pretty sure they're probably right and you're wrong. So I really tell people, know yourself, know what your blind spots are, and build a team around you of not yes people. Like, this is why having a team of people who are comfortable speaking their mind, they're not afraid that you're going to yell at them, or you're going to get hurt, or you're going to fire them, or, in any way jeopardize the relationship. You need to surround yourself with these amazing people who will also tell you what they think, and you'll tell them what you think. In fact, they did a study on this, and they found that the teams that were the most honest with each other, that trusted each other the most, were the most successful.
Wow.
That was more important than their talent. That was more important than their skills that they brought to the table. It was a fact of trust. And that's because when you're in a team collaborating, creating something, you really need people that you can go deep with, and you can address the really hard issues and work through them together. That's how you build a great company.
That is amazing, actionable advice. We're getting so much. I hope that my listeners, if they're driving, they've pulled over and they're starting to take notes on their notepad on their phone, because there is so much to take away from this. I wanted to segue into Founders Space. This is your current company. Can you tell the listeners about Founders Space? What is it that you do exactly?
So Founder Space is an international startup incubator and accelerator. We work with entrepreneurs all over the globe. And so prior to the pandemic, I was traveling 70% of my time. Like, literally.
Sounds like a dream.
It is a dream.
Come on, Captain. That sounds good.
Yes. I love working with entrepreneurs. It's all, I've been an entrepreneur, and it just excites me to learn from all these amazing people and collaborate with them. And I've been doing that now. My home has been Silicon Valley, but I just moved out of my home, became a digital nomad. So 100% of the time I will be traveling.
So where are you now?
I am in California. I moved out yesterday.
Oh, well, that's
Literally.
what great timing. And look, you can still, as a digital nomad, you can go anywhere you want and still make money. What a dream for probably a lot of people listening, including myself. So you help startups all over the world. You've helped hundreds of people successfully start their company. What the top advice that you would want to leave the listeners, if they're only going to take away one thing from this entire episode, what is that nugget of information you want to give them?
So the one thing I think is absolutely critical for entrepreneurs is you need to educate yourself, which means you need to constantly be learning, like listening to this podcast, doing everything you could do to educate yourself, because things are changing and only the people who are kind of on the leading edge are going to reap the big rewards moving forward. That's just how the world works. So if you are doing things as you've done them, up your game, like get into it. The other thing I want to say to your audience is, since I'll be traveling full time, if they want to reach out to me in their city and organize an event or something like that, wherever they are in the world, I'm going to be there at some point. So
that's amazing.
Just go to Founderspace and contact me, hit the contact form, email us. We are going to be on the road. We'll be in New York eventually. I'm about to travel across the country.
Fantastic.
So if we make it all the way to New York, I want to see you in person. Maybe we could do something.
Absolutely. Well, and I love that. And guys, I have listeners in all 50 states and in over 73 countries. And so there are people, maybe it'll take you, maybe guys, contact him, have him come to where you're at. It's founderspace.com. I'm going to put it in the show notes as well as in the episode description, because I want people to be able to tap in even on a deeper level into what you're doing and the knowledge that you have. And as you said, knowledge is key and staying ahead of the trends. And you talk about tapping the trends in your book, and understanding those trends is so critical to be able to be successful in whatever industry you're really trying to break into. So I'm absolutely going to put that information in the notes so people can reach out to you. Where else can the listeners find you?
So
do you have social media or anything you want them to reach out on?
Absolutely. I am on Twitter, Instagram. I'm now on Clubhouse.
Love it.
And Facebook. All you do is search for Founderspace. So it's super easy. You can find me on every social network.
That's perfect. You made it nice and simple. Yeah. For everybody listening. Guys, I have to say, you have to go get a copy of Surviving a Startup, because when I read this book, I thought it was extremely eye-opening, and you did a great job of really simplifying these principles to help people gain success and momentum in their business, and really to be able to not be a part of the 90% that fail. So guys, you can go find it on Amazon. That's where I found it. Is there anywhere else? It's anywhere that they sell books, right?
Yeah, or go to survivingastartup.com.
Perfect.
They can see it right there and go to.
I'm going to link that too, guys. I'm going to link it in the show notes as well. So make sure that you reach out to Captain Hoff, because honestly, Stephen is a genius, and really his book lays it out perfect. His business has helped people start their business successfully, hundreds of people. And so take it from him. So I just want to say thank you so much. Anything else you want to leave with the listeners before we end the episode today?
So Courtney, I just want to say I love your show. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. It's my baby, even if it looks like Benjamin Button. Okay, I love it.
And I'm not just saying it's nice. Your baby is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. She's a model. I'm going to go put her in an agency. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. And as you guys already know, if you're not already, follow us on Instagram. It's at Financially Free Journey. Also TikTok, Financially Free Journey. I post daily tips, motivation to help you on your financially free journey. Until next time.